All right, so let's talk problem and then we'll talk solution. When it comes to cybersecurity, why wasn't the money for cybersecurity in the bill to start with?
Well, so to be clear, some of the things that are in the bill include making sure that the grants come in with serious plans for cybersecurity, because that's what it means to be resilient in the 21st century. Let's also recognize that the federal government cannot be alone in promoting cybersecurity. Take this situation where you had a private company experience a cyber attack with public consequences. So many of our utilities and other pieces of infrastructure, they're either owned and operated by local government or often by private actors. And so we need a whole of society approach, not just a whole of government approach, to make sure we're safe and secure.
Secretary, were we caught sleeping on this? In 2020 alone, 24,000 U.S. ransomware attacks, state, local governments targeted, healthcare facilities, schools. Victims paid $350 million in ransom. It's up 300% from the year before. We sleeping?
Look, we as a country, I think, have had a big wake-up call. Now, don't get me wrong, we've been working on this from day one. The executive order that the president put out this week was the result of work that's been ongoing. And I know I've been hearing from the White House and others in the administration about our mutual cybersecurity work from the get-go. But look, let's face it, clearly our country needs to be more secure than we have been, especially because the threats are only going to get more and more sophisticated.
On the wake-up call side, the Biden budget proposal for next year, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, got a 5% bump compared to overall 16% bump in non-defense spending. In light of this now, should that change?
Well, I'll leave that to other parts of the government, but what I'll say is it's not just about the dollars that go into an agency that stood up specifically around cybersecurity. It's also got to be part of all the work that all of us are doing. You might not see it, for example, in our Department of Transportation budget, but when we're thinking about funding a plan that comes in from a community that wants to, let's say, put in a new light rail line or add some kind of resource in their ports, you better believe we're going to be wanting to make sure that it's resilient, safe, and secure. And so it's up to us and every other department, from education to agriculture, as well as CISA, as well as DOD and Homeland Security, to make sure we're doing our part.
Is it a fair argument, Secretary, that the government should be more involved here? I know privatization, very sexy, very appealing because it seems efficient, and we're going to leave it to the people who know. But whether it's Texas that operates its own grid, and now you have Colonial, which is a private industry, they don't have the same touch on regulation that other aspects of government-owned industry do. And is that what we're paying the price for here? Is that they weren't up to speed on cyber hacking because they don't need to be?
Well, the problem is, of course, they do need to be. And so we've got to make sure there are levels of reporting. This is touched in the president's
They didn't even tell
order,
you guys right away.
And levels of accountability.
Right? I mean, they didn't even tell you right away. And if you really regulated them, if you controlled it, I'm not faulting you because it's the system. I'm saying, should the system change? Should there be more oversight, and not by Congress? Should there be more oversight by an agency that knows what it's doing, where you got to tell us and we're going to know, and you've got to meet requirements, and you've got to spend money. Otherwise, you don't get the concession.
I think that kind of oversight is part of what it means to have critical infrastructure in private hands. Look, we're not going to want the federal government to own and operate every utility or every pipeline or every other piece of critical infrastructure in the country. Often, it does make sense for that to be in decentralized, local, or even private hands. But when it is, an enormous responsibility comes with that stewardship. And I do think we need to take a real look at a policy level at what's being done.
So today there's a headline that the president says he's open on infrastructure. He wants to negotiate. He's been having meetings. What gives you any hope, Mr. Secretary, that Mitch McConnell's quote from 9 days ago of 100% of my focus is on stopping this new administration will change? Do you think there's any chance of Republican votes actually being cast for a Democratic anything?
I do think there's a chance to do this because I don't think that this is a uniquely democratic set of goals or vision. Look, the American people want infrastructure. The American people want investments in the competitiveness of the future. That's one of the reasons why the jobs plan is so popular across the country, and not only with Democrats. Just yesterday, I was in the Oval Office with the president, the Commerce Secretary, and the VP, and a bunch of Republican senators having a good faith conversation about where we were, where they were, and where to go from here. There's a remarkably strong and good committee work going on that is building a good policy that's going to be part of this. So is it a guarantee? Far from it. Obviously, we're starting out pretty far apart, but I do think there is a good opportunity for a lot of common ground and a lot of alignment because the American people can't wait.
COVID relief was pretty palpably obvious as a need also. They passed it twice under Trump. And then, for all the good faith meetings, 0 Republican votes for anything with Biden's name on it. Why might this be different?
Well, I'd say, in my view, the back and forth has already been a lot more dynamic. They came to the table with a proposal. The president's put forward his ideas. That back and forth is, I'll tell you, it's very real and it's very focused. Same thing with what's going on in the committees, both on the House and Senate side. This regular order legislative process has the potential to deliver really good policy for the future, and we've got to give it every shot. I get politics are what they are. I don't know exactly where this will lead us, but what I know is that this is both good policy and good politics. At least that's how we view it, and we're hoping a good number of Republicans come to view it the same way if we can scope out at least where the common ground might lie.
Mr. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, thank you for joining us on Primetime.
Thank you.